I just woke up on Earth, and it's looking a lot more corrupted than usual. I think I must have hit my head somewhere because I genuinely forgot how to tame anything. So, looks like I can't be using any dinosaurs during this. Surely the final boss on here isn't too bad to do on foot, right? Just like any other challenge, this one started with me naming my character Extinct Filippo because I'm very creative. And when it comes to spawning in, I chose Sanctuary East because that's the only politically correct area to spawn in Extinction. Spawning in was honestly quite beautiful, as this time I wasn't surrounded by a bunch of polygons loading in. I must say though, they did Extinction very well on arksurvivalascended. Well, I can't waste any time admiring my surroundings because I can't tame anything during this challenge, and every single second of me gathering stuff matters. I'm also pretty confident that I'm the only person that's attempted to beat Extinction with No Tames on YouTube, because I can't really see any other people who've done that. Feel free to correct me though. So let's get straight into that gathering and punch this tree. After gathering that stuff up, I got some stone and I crafted myself my first pickaxe. You may be asking yourself, how are you gonna beat Extinction with no tames? Well, firstly, I'm not counting the mech as a tame, since that's something that you can craft, and the newly added battle rigs are absolutely gonna help me out, but it will take me a hot second to farm all of that stuff on foot. I'm also kind of dumb and I do things like this every so often, so it's not really helping my case in trying to succeed. Anyways, after that little rant, I made a hatchet, 2 spears, and a torch. Thanks to my advanced knowledge of this map, I remembered where an explorer note was, so this was some free levels. I am playing on slightly boosted settings where my health goes up by 20 instead of 10, and that goes the same for my weight. The explorer note that I just picked up actually boosted me to level 29, so I'm already unlocking tranquilizer darts, the smithy, and the refining forge along with everything that's below that, and it's absolutely insane. A recurring issue that I'm gonna be having while playing on Extinction in the early days is that I'm always gonna be low from doing something very stupid. I also discovered this little terminal here where I can craft scouts and enforcers, and yes, throughout this entire challenge I will be debating whether or not these count as tames. Do these count as tames? After lodging my spear into the forehead of this dodo, I made up some hide armor. I noticed this defense unit that was over here beating up a child, and honestly, I have to respect the I proceed to farm up some hide. The little beaver actually managed to run away, so I decided to take this opportunity to try and kill the defense unit. I then discovered the cosmetic section of the new things that they added, and oh my god, I am looking quite amazing. The thing that I really like about this fit is that the helmet is called the Motorhead helmet. Another cool thing about Extinction is that you can get a lot of late game resources by hitting these street lamps. With all the gathering I've been doing, I'm already level 41. So not only is my XP gain insane, another thing that's insane is that I have 0 food. So I started cooking some up in my campfire. Right after that was done, I got myself a spyglass, which is really good. After getting that spyglass, I decided that it's just about time for me to start farming up some metal. So after I harvested all of the river rocks in the area, it's now time for me to put down my little workshop. Pretty much what I'm going to be doing here is I'm just going to have the basic necessities and crafting stations all at this little workshop, and it's all going to be going towards getting myself a garage as soon as possible. With the garage, I'll be able to craft up my first battle rig, and then the challenge can truly start becoming easy. After putting down my first campfire on the thatch foundations, I put down a refining forge as well. Then I put down another refining forge, and it's not even facing the same way as it, and no, I'm not going to change it. After throwing some metal and wood into both of the forges, I started smelting it. I also made a storage box and threw in a bunch of my random heavy supplies in there. After collecting my smelted metal, I finally made a smithy. Then I put it right on the edge of my new compound. Well, this is kind of a sad excuse for a compound, but hey. But I didn't stop there, and I made myself a metal pickaxe. But of course I couldn't leave my pickaxe unaccompanied without a new hatchet. But the combo of new items doesn't stop there, as I made myself a crossbow. Now that I actually have some ranged weaponry, I am now much safer. Since I just spent all of my metal, I do need a lot more, so I decided to go to the river rocks next to my base and farm them all up. While I was exploring my surroundings, I saw a T-Rex here, and it was a relatively low level. Killing a Rex this early game gives me access to so much hide. I decided that it's probably going to be a good idea to get a sword, because that is the best melee weapon that I can get my hands on. I am missing a little bit of metal until I can actually get the sword, so I farmed some up by the river rocks at my base. In a last-ditch effort to get some metal, I tried to kill this enforcer, and it went pretty well. I seem to have spoken way too soon. After not learning from my mistakes, I got my stuff and I tried to kill the enforcer once again. This time, however, was a lot more successful, as I managed to take it down and harvest all of the metal that was on it. Then I had to look at the absolute marvel that is the requirements that I need to craft the garage. Well, that brings an end to the very eventful day 1. On day 2, I started off the day strong by crafting a sword. This sword is gonna be so much more helpful than you guys think. It's so insane. So after deciding to test out my new sword, I bullied this enforcer and then did my best to try and not die during this. Even though it was a close fight and I almost died, I did manage to kill the enforcer with my new sword, proving that it is really, really good. But the streak of luck would soon end as I succumbed to hyperthermia. It was a really close fight, but I managed to kill the enforcer with my sword. After recovering my stuff, I went over to kill more enforcers for their metal. Even if it is kind of tedious, this is the most efficient way for me to get my metal. And yes, I know there are some metal nodes, but I feel like there aren't as much as there were on arksurvivalevolved. Since this challenge is, well, extremely difficult, I will be farming metal whenever possible. Same things with cementing paste, since that is very difficult to get early game, and with beaver dams spawning all over my area, this is absolutely perfect for me. As you may or may not have noticed already, the weather around me is starting to change. That's because there is now an electromagnetic storm, which is a brand new event that's only available in arksurvivalascended. I don't even know what it does, but it definitely looks really cool. It was during the storm that I decided that I need guns, and I need a lot of them. And for that, I need gunpowder, so I crafted up a mortar and pestle. Thankfully, it's pretty easy to get metal on here because the scrap metal is a lot more efficient to farm over the normal raw metal. And thanks to that efficiency, I was able to make up a simple pistol. Then I crafted up a parachute because I want to use that to get over to the wasteland to get some corrupted nodules. After getting some gunpowder made, I started crafting all of the simple bullets I could. After loading my gun up, I headed over to the wasteland for the first time. I'm kidding, it wasn't actually that intense. The hardest part of this journey was definitely killing this stego though. And if you're not familiar with Extinction and how the corrupted zone works, pretty much any normal dinosaur spawns there, but they're just immensely corrupted with element and they're a lot stronger and more aggressive. If you can't tell yet, it never turns nighttime on Extinction unless you're in a biodome. So for me, most of the time, it's always going to be day. So after explaining that, here comes the very tedious process of having to run back home. Unfortunately, my running back home was cut short by this very rude capro. Unfortunately, he did not give me a little love tap. Thankfully, I was able to get my things back pretty easily. After arriving back at base, I did have all of my metal fully smelted, and this is a big morale booster to me because now I can craft more things. So thankfully, I still had more metal that I could use here. I also learned the entire ghillie suit because I want to have as least detection from all of the creatures around me as possible. I also immediately crafted that ghillie suit because I can use corrupted nodules as a substitute to the organic polymer. So that's a pretty solid way to end off day 2. Starting off day 3, I repaired my sword. Then I used that repaired sword to kill a bunch of defense units that were camping around my base. And I didn't stop there because I ventured even further into the sanctuary and started harvesting them. I also made the discovery that killing enforcers gives more metal than the defense units. So this is absolutely the way I'm going to be farming metal, aside from getting those occasional nodes around my base. I also didn't stop there as I picked up all of the cementing paste that I could on the way back. After arriving back to base, I split all of my scrap metal into my forges evenly. Also, my forges are going to be on 24/7 because I need to farm as much charcoal as I can for this gunpowder. And speaking of farming things, I really need to get some more metal. So in comes a huge grind that I'm going to be doing right now. So after getting that amount of metal, I put it all into my forges. But I wasn't done there because I still need more. After that little metal grind, I started making more spark powder and I actually expanded my little base over here. The reason that I'm expanding my foundations is because I'm gonna get more industrial stuff here, like a fabricator and eventually that new mega lab that they added. Thankfully, I was able to craft the fabricator almost immediately because of all of the resources I've been stockpiling. Since I can't actually use the fabricator without gasoline, that's what I started crafting. After placing down my new fabricator, this means I can finally industrialize my items and get to the next step of this entire challenge. And that next step requires me crafting some explosive spears because I want to go and do an orbital supply drop in the wasteland. For people who don't know what an orbital supply drop is, it's essentially like this drop that comes out of the sky barreling down into the wasteland, and you need to defend it from corrupted dino waves, and when you do, you get some really good rewards. And I thought I was more than prepared to be able to do this, but little did I know, I absolutely wasn't. I thought I could take the lowest level of this thing down by myself on just day 4, which is kind of ridiculous, and I have no words as to why I actually tried to do this. But we're just gonna overlook the fact that I'm probably gonna get my ass kicked, and let's keep crafting some more explosive spears. But that just about summarizes day 3. I started off day 4 very strong by crafting 12 sleeping bags I'm gonna be placing all around the OSD just in case I die. But the last thing I'm gonna be crafting are a few canteens just so I don't die of dehydration in the wasteland. But I was missing out on a few corrupted nodules to craft them, so I went over to the wasteland and took out these corrupted raptors. After forcefully harvesting their skin from their corpses, I made canteens with it because that's very realistic. I love using resources that are extremely corrupted and would turn me into a zombie if I ingested them, but that's okay. Let me put it on the lining of this canteen right here. If you're confused why I'm killing corrupted creatures to craft some things, it's because their skin can be used for a substitute for polymer. But without further ado, let's finally do my first OSD. And hopefully it'll go well, right? Well, that didn't really go in my favor, did it? But I did manage to get my stuff and run back to base. If there's anything I learned from this one, it's that I definitely need to upgrade my arsenal before trying to attempt this again. Even on the run back, I got absolutely battered. But that is pretty much it for the very eventful day 4. On day 5, I decided that I still need more corrupted nodules, so I headed out to the wasteland one more time. Now, unfortunately for me, this wasteland expedition wasn't gonna go in my favor whatsoever. But I didn't know that yet, so I continued killing everything around me. I also got very lucky and found some obsidian nodes here, which I farmed up entirely, as I can use these to make normal polymer, because the normal corrupted nodules just kind of spoil after some time. But that doesn't stop me from completely farming them whenever I have the chance. The process is a little bit tedious, but that's okay, because everything is gonna work out once I farm enough of this stuff. Once I was running back to base though, this little shit over here decides that it's a good idea to try and lock on to me when I'm not even in its aggro distance, despite wearing a ghillie suit, and then completely ruins my day. I love the fact that this challenge is just 95% of me running back and getting my stuff, but after retrieving that stuff, I went to go get revenge. Now that I've returned back to base with all of my newly found resources, I can finally craft the thing that's going to be carrying me. Now that I have true protection from the wasteland, I just need to get a lot of bullets for this thing. Getting at least 100 would be more than enough to finish up a blue OSD. Unfortunately for me, it's actually very tedious to craft the shotgun bullets, as they require simple bullets and gunpowder, so it's very annoying. So I need to craft simple bullets and then waste the gunpowder on that, and then I need to spend more gunpowder and the simple bullets I just crafted just to make one shotgun shell. But to enhance my gunpowder crafting experience, I decided that I'm gonna make a ton of campfires and put in a lot of wood into all of them so I can produce charcoal at even larger rates. So after putting down all of my campfires, I set in 100 wood into each of them. There was also some beaver dams around my base that I looted because I will never miss out the opportunities to get this stuff. The next thing that I want to craft is a chainsaw, because I can gather metal scraps from the enforcers with so much more ease if I do this. Thankfully, I had all of the resources to make a bunch of polymer to finish crafting up the chainsaw. And that's pretty much it for day 5. I started off day 6 very strong by finishing up crafting the chainsaw. This is going to be a huge help to me when it comes to gathering my items. So now let's see just how much better the chainsaw is at gathering enforcers over my pickaxe. That is over 5 times better. So it looks like I'm going to be farming some enforcers. Good lord, those resources. Now that is exactly what I'm talking about. That is so much metal, oil, electronics, and element dust. Now I'm just a little bit confused as to why the sky is so pink. Well, that is quite terrifying. This is another one of the weather events on arksurvivalascended that looks so much better over the arksurvivalevolved counterpart. I really hope that in the future I don't get struck by one of these when I'm out in the wasteland, because they can't get me while I'm in the sanctuary because of the force field. Anyways, I continued farming up some more simple bullets for the shotgun. Thankfully, this time when I was getting the bullets, it was so much better because of the amount of gunpowder that I had. I also decided to put on the same skins that I had on before onto my ghillie suit, because I really like how they look. After the meteor shower subdued, I picked up all of the charcoal that was producing in my campfire farm. I used all of that charcoal to make gunpowder and continued to keep making simple bullets until the end of the day. I started off day 7 by fixing up my sword because it was about to break. I also made the shocking discovery that my chainsaw can gather stone very efficiently. I also made a bunch of bolas because I'm gonna attempt that OSD again, but all I need to do is wait for one to spawn. And here we are hours later with no new OSD. So that's the end of day 7. But thankfully, I was very productive while I was waiting for that OSD, as I got a lot of extra charcoal and spark powder. Then it finally came down to the last simple bullet grind that I had to do. While I was crafting my shotgun bullets, I finally heard the noise I was waiting for, the sound of an OSD dropping. So I wasted no time in running over there. Somehow on my journey there, I actually didn't get jumped by any corrupted creatures. At this point when I was running, I didn't even know if it was gonna be there by the time I got there. But thankfully it was, and I crafted some sleeping bags to make sure that I could respawn. And here we go. Hopefully this time, it won't end as poorly. Me finishing up that OSD not only gave me a genuinely really good Mastercraft sword, access to crossbow blueprints, and a simple pistol blueprint, but it also got me parts for my battle rig, which is gonna be absolutely insane. I'm really glad that we did that, but we're still gonna need to continue doing these OSDs until I can get a car, then we can move up the ranks of difficulty. After arriving back to base, I deposited all of my items into the smithy, waiting to be crafted or used. Now we're just a little bit closer to getting that garage fully crafted. But if I want to make the garage, I need to make some element imbued gasoline, so I learned the Mega Lab. The Mega Lab is the only place where you can make element imbued gasoline, and it's gonna be the death of me. Simply because I used so much of my resources to craft this thing, but we are gonna get it back because this is a worthy investment, and I really can't use cars without that gasoline. Also, a cool part about the Mega Lab is like a better chemistry bench, so it's gonna be very beneficial for when I'm trying to craft gunpowder or anything alike. But unfortunately, it needs elements to run, so I'm gonna need to do an element vein soon. I also decided that I'm gonna make the floor of my little base of operations out of stone because it kind of bothers me that it's out of thatch. So after gathering the resources that I need to make the foundations, I place them down. And along with that, I placed down my new Mega Lab. Unfortunately, the element imbued gasoline requires 4 gasoline and 40 element dust just for one of them, so it's gonna be very annoying to get. I also made a generator just because I thought I needed it for it, but I was wrong as I soon realized that you need element. But thankfully, I could craft some element with all of the dust I've been gathering. But after powering on my new Mega Lab, the day ended. As soon as day 10 started, I powered on my new Mega Lab and started crafting all of the gasoline that I could. I made a decent amount on my first one, but I still need like 80 more. After I rejoined the game, I was greeted with this message. Well, that's just a little terrifying. The King Titan likes to roam the wasteland every real life day, and I guess if you stumble across it, you're just dead. But maybe we'll try and kill it sometime in the future. Anyways, after I looted up this beaver dam and stole their cementing paste, that's pretty much it for day 10. I started off day 11 by going into the wasteland so that I can get all of the polymer that I'm going to need for the garage. I met some corrupted resistance on the way there, but they're no match for my fabricated firepower. Thankfully, I was able to find a good amount of obsidian in the wasteland that I could use to craft up a lot of polymer. Returning to base was a little bit annoying considering that I had to run all the way back, but any corrupted creature in my way would soon be minced by my chainsaw. After arriving back at base, I made up 302 hard polymer, plus a little tiny bit from killing the corrupted dinos. I'm still missing a good amount of resources to craft this garage, so I crafted some extra shotgun bullets so I can go kill some defense units and enforcers for their metal. After getting my bullets ready, I went deeper into the sanctuary to wipe out any dinosaurs or machines that had even one lining of metal on them. I also found some cementing paste on the way there, which is a nice little plus. After depositing the metal I gathered into my forges, I decided that I should pursue getting more polymer instead. After parachuting into the scorching earth of the wasteland, I immediately started unloading onto all of the corrupted dinos. Pause. But after a little bit of a Triceratops genocide, the end of the day was among us. On day 12, my massacre of these lesser individuals continued. This mass killing of the corrupted dinos was a cruel yet necessary part to my grand scheme of crafting a garage in the next few days. A few hours into day 12, I called it quits as I had gathered more than enough polymer to craft the garage, so now I just need to smelt up some metal. Running back home is always the most annoying part of these wasteland expeditions as it takes so long and it makes me lose out on lots and lots of time on doing other productive things. After arriving back at base, I deposited all of my newly found polymer into my fabricator, along with some obsidian that I found. I was able to craft an okay amount of hard polymer, but that's okay as I was able to have much over the amount that I needed just from killing the corrupted creatures. I also got some more wood from my forges so that I could keep farming up more charcoal for the gunpowder. I'm still missing out on a lot of element imbued gasoline, so I need to farm up a lot of element dust to fuel my ambition of getting a garage. The best way for me to gather all of the dust is by destroying some tech tables scattered around the sanctuary grounds, making for some very easy element dust collection. Another thing I can do to get the dust is destroy the street lamps that are very common around the sanctuary. I also proceeded to continue killing defense units and enforcers as they can give me element dust and metal at the same time. After arriving back with my fine powdered element, I threw it all into the Mega Lab, and after turning it on, I made up all of the imbued gasoline that I could. I then went back and proceeded to murder more enforcers for their metal skin that will be lined on my garage walls. After returning back to base, I put the metal into my forges and called it a day. I started day 13 by picking up an explorer node that boosted my XP gain. While I was at base and smelting up some metal, I saw another marvel of nature unfolding above me. After admiring the shower, I set to finishing up my gasoline craft by powering on my Mega Lab once again and making every little bit of it that I would need not only to craft the garage, but also to fuel my car. I also decided that since I am going to be only waiting for my metal to smelt, since that is my only sole purpose in life, I'm gonna end the day early. I experimented with some more outfit combinations for my character on day 14 to see if I could get anything that looks a little bit better, but all of them look like shit in comparison to my original. After a long while of waiting overnight, and sometime into the morning, all of my metal had smelted, which means I finally have a garage. After crafting up this absolute behemoth of a garage, I put in my existing parts into it so I can get a head start on getting a car as soon as possible. But as per usual, I need more metal, so I need to wait even longer until I have a fully armored
up and functional car. After a little bit of time, I was able to make the wheels and cab for my car, meaning that it is officially drivable. But I'm still hesitant on taking it out to the wasteland before we get the bed put on, just for some extra armor. But I'm gonna have to wait until day 15 to be able to have that luxury. On day 15, I equipped the roll cage bed onto my new rig, making me good to go and take it out for a spin. But I'm gonna need to wait for a good excuse to use this car first, like an OSD or an element vein. I also decided that even though this car is finished, I still want a better ram attached to the front of the rig. So here comes another metal grind where I need to exterminate a lot of enforcers for their metal so I can craft a harvest saw. Since I have enough metal smelting up for the new harvest saw, all I have to do is wait for it to turn into ingots. Again. After some waiting, I had almost enough for my new saw, but I was missing a tiny bit of metal, and the day was already coming to a close. But surely tomorrow will be the day where I can finally use this rig to the fullest of its capacities. On day 16, I crafted and attached a new saw onto the front of my rig, and god damn can I do a great amount of damage to any creature in front of me. This will surely be very helpful in OSDs and element veins. After some further testing on the innocent locals, I can fully confirm that this attachment will mince any corrupted creatures in my way. I also decided to learn every single engram that I could, including the mech, which will be the single most crucial vehicle to use during this entire challenge. While I was just relaxing at base, the goddamn King Titan his self spawned in the wasteland, jumpscaring the ever-living shit out of me. And I don't think I'm ready to mess with him just yet. I finally felt comfortable taking my new rig out for a ride in the wasteland, and hopefully I will find a few interesting things out there that I couldn't quite catch before on foot. The car has a very weird bug that is absolutely dumbfounding to me as to why it exists, and that glitch is that it teleports itself to another location and makes itself exist in another place while it is physically not there. This glitch will be the death of me. Immediately upon entering the wasteland, I noticed just how well this thing handles the scorched dunes, and also how badass it looks. I had a streak of luck like never before, and I found an entire element vein on the easiest level. Not only that, I brought my tools with me, along with some weapons, meaning I can clear this out with my car, and I can collect all of the elements that it will drop me at the end, setting me up for a lot of element immune gasoline and power for my Mega Lab. Let's just hope this ends well. Even if that took a day, that went insanely well. Now I've gained lots of elements and trust in what my vehicle can do. Now if we just get better attachments for this, we can move up in the difficulties of these and reap some insanely good rewards. Unfortunately, my streak of luck had ended as I got glitched under the map alongside my car, so I had to despawn it and run back to base all the way. Thankfully it didn't take me very long to get back to base, and I still had time to do things at home when I arrived. After powering on my Mega Lab with my newly found element that I rightfully claimed as my own because I'm a true American patriot, I dumped it all into my car and now I can stay on the move for a lot longer. But after doing that, I didn't waste any time on getting back into the wasteland to do a nearby OSD that just landed. And it's blue. It's super nice being able to drive through the wasteland compared to running on my two little legs. I arrived at the OSD shortly after it got glitched in my buggy, but that's okay, as long as I got there and it was time for the easiest run of all. Continuing on day 18. Well, that definitely took a while, and was honestly not worth the shit loot that I got. Next time we need to try and do a yellow OSD, that being the medium difficulty, which gives really good rewards. And this would soon turn out to fail. On the way back, I thought I was about to be hit with another meteor shower and obliterated back to the Ark Park world. But thankfully, it was just an electromagnetic storm. Says nobody ever. After arriving back, I didn't waste a second of my time getting set up to do the yellow OSD that just landed. Arriving there in this atmosphere was quite badass, but it would soon prove that my overconfidence would almost cost me a brand new car. Well, here we are on day 19. The glitch happened again, and my car phased into another point where it actually wasn't at, and got beat up by every dino surrounding it, causing it to get damaged below half health and making me have to retreat. I think it is possible to do a yellow OSD with this car, but I need to be more careful to make sure this glitch won't happen again. I then took my car and drove it back to my base with it making shittier engine noises than a Volkswagen W8. After repairing my car, it's time for the big fish. I need to get some corrupted hearts to start my first boss fight soon. There are 4 bosses on Extinction: the Ice Titan, the Forest Titan, the Desert Titan, and finally, the King Titan. I need to get 100 corrupted hearts so I can start the Desert Titan fight and find out a strategy to kill it as soon as possible with the least amount of effort, because then I will learn the tech replicator and be able to craft a mech, which will be absolutely huge to my progression. Getting corrupted hearts isn't really that bad considering how fast I am killing all of these guys, and it's just a matter of luck as to how many hearts you get per kill. I've been taking a little bit of damage from this, but not really at the same time. Whatever that means. I'm just gonna skip this entire corrupted heart farming for today because it's literally just me driving a car into a goddamn creature for more than 5 seconds at a time. And that's no fun. On day 20, I'm gonna proceed to do the exact same thing that I did yesterday, and skip over the entire day because I did nothing aside from driving into corrupted dinosaurs. By the end of 2 days, I had collected 53 hearts, meaning I'm over halfway there to the Desert Titan, so I can passively farm the hearts while doing OSDs and get the remaining tributes passively as well. But for now, we need to continue this challenge getting resources and staying on our feet so that we don't lose. I started off day 21 strong with only loot on my mind, because I'm a sad little goblin. This is finally going to be the day where I do a yellow OSD, and succeed. Little did I know, however, this OSD attempt would end just like the rest, except in a more disappointing fashion. But I decided that I'm not going to overthink it, and took to getting into the wasteland the second I heard an OSD drop out of the sky. Also, from now on, I am going to be playing the game on full epic settings. That's just something I wanted to mention, because before I was playing on all high. Something I'd also like to mention is that at the time of me doing this voiceover, I fully recognized the issue I was having when doing these higher level OSDs. It's completely my car's fault. I used the wrong parts when making this car, and not only could it look better, but it also doesn't function as it should. Thankfully, I would change this soon, and I will soon have several card types to use. Upon arriving at the yellow OSD, it all seemed fine, and I proceeded to start it. Surely nothing can go wrong. Right? Of course, when I was attacking a corrupted arksurvivalevolved, its splash damage killed my character who was protected inside of my car. Thankfully, I was able to retrieve my stuff and have it all work out, but I'm quite upset that I died at that stage of the OSD, as that is the furthest I've gotten into one so far. Right before the day ended, I decided that I need to upgrade my car's armor and give it some extra firepower. On day 22, I decided that I'm going to take the long way around to get to my base and kill even more enforcers, defense units, and tech dinos on the way back. I'm going to attempt to craft a minigun for my car and also give it more of a monster truck-esque appearance, but that can only be done with the help of a shit ton of metal. So staying on that topic of metal, I made the executive decision to upgrade my forge production so that I can smelt more metal at a time at faster rates. So after crafting up an extra 4 forges, I started smelting up 100 scrap metal in each one. While I was gathering some cementing paste from the beavers, the King Titan started roaming the wasteland once again, causing me to lose a few years off of my life with the jump scare I received. Oh, Lord have mercy. After that scare, I decided to go back to the wasteland to farm out more corrupted nodules from the less fortunate creatures I would come across. After collecting a good amount from the nearby locals, I started heading back to base. As soon as I got back there, I checked on my new forges and collected my metal to craft the minigun for my rig. I also had to make up some more spark powder because I need to make more gunpowder for the advanced rifle bullets the minigun will be consuming. On day 23, I took out the car for a short wasteland drive, and a minigun on this thing just looks right. After arriving back, I made the cab and bed for the monster truck, and it looks really good, but it's still missing the iconic tires, also causing my car to glitch without them. After a little bit more metal smelting, I made the big ass wheels for this behemoth, and it was only missing a new attachment for the performance of the car itself. But I need to wait to have more metal smelted for that one to happen. In the meantime, I took it out for a little drive, and it seems that these tires are preventing the car from getting stuck in the ground. After a little bit of waiting, I had finally crafted my new jump jets for this monster, meaning I can finally throw my car high into the air and make for some really cool stunts. Now that my new car was ready, I wanted to paint it up and make it look even better. Thankfully, it's very straightforward to craft these dyes here, and I was able to make some emerald dye for my new car. After fully painting it green, it looked kind of stupid, but that's okay, as I would further enhance this paint job in the coming days. On day 24, after loading my car full of ammunition, I set out into the wasteland to see what kinds of things I can find waiting for me there. Even though my car looks visually cooler and is tankier, the issue is that my car only goes 65 miles per hour. Before it was going 80, so I just lost 15 of my top speed on this rig because of the transition to the monster truck. While I was driving around, I noticed a blue OSD. Even though I said these aren't worth my time, I decided to do it anyway. Hopefully I can get some good loot. Well, the loot I got definitely wasn't terrible, but it could be a lot better. I got some armor traits out of that and about 200 hard polymer, which is a nice welcome bonus. While driving around in the wasteland, my car randomly decided to get the black paint job that I put onto it a while ago. This happens a lot of the time and it's quite weird. Right before the day ended, I found an element vein that would have been very possible to do, and it would have yielded a lot of good resources for me, but I still decided not to do it. On day 25, after depositing my blue OSD loot into my smithy, I saw another OSD fly out of the sky and hit the ground, so I knew I had to try and do it again. I started speeding over there immediately with my new battle rig. Well, not really considering how much slower I am now. As it turns out, it was a yellow OSD, and if this attempt fails, I don't know what I'm gonna have to do. Well, it's day 26. And that actually went well? I got some really good loot, but my car is pretty much destroyed and I need to speed over back to my base. The highlight of that loot that I got is definitely the Ascended racer wheels, making my car's health skyrocket up by an extra 1.3 thousand and added so much more speed. I also got a pretty decent shotgun blueprint at 140.4%. My plan is I'm going to defeat the Desert Titan soon, and I just need to stockpile about 600 shotgun bullets, then I can take it out with ease using other vehicles at my disposal. The first thing I did back at my base was putting on my new wheels and replacing the monster truck bed with the roll cage one. Now my vehicle has some extra health, and I can go 98 miles per hour, which is huge. I have to say, it also looks a lot cooler this way. Anyways, the vehicle that I'm going to be using to take out the Desert Titan will be the Zeppelin. Some may remember that I used the same Zeppelin to, unsuccessfully, get a rock drake egg on Aberration, but it was still a huge help to me there there nonetheless. The plan is that I will be shooting the Desert Titan with my shotgun/sniper while it hovers above me, or I can just take it out from a distance. But I'm still gonna need a tiny bit more corrupted hearts and a few wyvern talons. In order to get these things, I'm gonna need to get more metal. Again, I'm not really too bad at getting all the metal, all things considered, but this time I'm gonna get so much that I won't need to farm it for a little while and have enough to craft the blimp. While I was fighting a corrupted Rex, an unknown entity decided that it would be funny to do 247,595 damage to my character for no explained reason, causing me to have to go back and get my stuff on foot again. I had to fix all of my armor back at base because I can't imagine it likes being damaged that much for no reason. But that concludes the very eventful day 26. Here we are on day 27. And I'm still continuing this metal grind. I have to say, driving through the wasteland with this upgraded car feels really, really good, and I can't wait to get even better parts for it in the future. I've been killing a lot of defense units so far, and it's paying off really well in terms of the metal yield. So to save time for this already very chaotic video, let's just do a metal gathering montage. I was able to put 300 scrap metal ingots in each of my forges, making for a very profitable run. This is all going to be more than enough for a decent amount of bullets and a zeppelin, but I'm still gonna need more for the amount of these shells that I'm trying to craft. On day 28, I finished gathering up all of the fiber that I'm going to need for the Zeppelin, alongside with the corrupted nodules I got from harvesting the creatures from the wasteland. Not long after, I finally concluded crafting this blimp that I've been waiting for so long. I'm not going to deploy the blimp quite yet, even if it would be very good to use as early as possible. But my plan is that I'm going to throw out the blimp immediately upon getting teleported into the Desert Titans arena, so that it can be used the most efficiently. Something that I may do is have a good amount of resources left over to repair the blimp if it gets damaged during the fight, but that could weigh my character down too much to do. I wanted to craft that good shotgun blueprint as fast as I could now, so I sped over to the wasteland, cut up some corrupted dinos, returned to base, and made out my new boomstick. I didn't bother to crafting skill this one, and I forgot to eat the focal chili for the extra bonus before crafting. Oops. But it's okay, as I now have everything that I need to take down the Titan itself, minus the bullets. Here we are on day 29, and now that I have all of these new things in my arsenal, I wanted to go and take out an element vein. For real this time. Driving into the wasteland, I had nothing but the blue aura of element on my mind, and there I found it. A beta element vein, just waiting to be collected. I need to lock in and let nothing stop me from finishing this. Of fucking course I got hit with a goddamn meteor shower. Thankfully I wasn't hit by any of these scorching rocks, but damn that pisses me off. Oh well, I'm sure we can do it again whenever I see another one. Arriving back at base, I couldn't really leave under any circumstances, so I decided to make the most of my time here AFK crafting a ton of gunpowder for my bullets. It took some waiting around, but I was able to craft 190 bullets that I could use for my new boomstick. After relogging and getting rid of the meteor storm, I drove my car back into the wasteland so that I could not only finish farming all of the corrupted hearts, but also the wyvern talons. By the time I reached where I needed to be, it was already the end of the day. Day 30 started off joyously by throwing me under the map and almost killing me, but I had to cheat to get my way out. This is justified, I promise. Thankfully, the wyverns here were relatively weak and easy to kill, but they dealt so much damage to my character. On the first run there, I was able to get all 100 corrupted hearts, but only one of the wyvern talons. I made sure to also craft more gunpowder for my bullets, but I didn't craft the shells with it just yet. Not only that, I put in my armor traits that I got from the yellow OSD into my armor, giving me buffs for my carry weight. I decided that since I have a lot of spare parts left over, I should make another car with them, so that's exactly what I did. It looks pretty mean, but I'm just missing the engine for it. The point of this car is going to be to recover my stuff if I die out in the wasteland with my main truck, so it's going to be a huge time saver and help for me. Anyways, the rest of the day was a brutal wyvern slaying massacre, and I finished off day 30 by cowering away back to base in my car, with a total of 8 wyvern talons out of the 10 that I need. A couple hundred more shotgun shells, and we're good to take out my first Titan. I decided I wanted to start day 31 off strong by doing another yellow OSD. I've also been passively crafting a ton of gunpowder for the Desert Titan fight, as I've numbered down the amount that I wanted to get for the shells from 600 to 400. This is all thanks to my main man Baron. Without him, I would have over-prepared for this fight. After spending a tiny bit of time waiting at base, I saw an OSD land out of the sky and into the wasteland, meaning I gotta go and finish that up ASAP. As expected, this was a yellow OSD, meaning that I can get some more great loot from it, and hopefully, this time, it can go a lot better in all regards, and give me some incredible loot. We're already halfway through day 32, but that's okay, as I have now gotten the most pristine piece of loot I could have ever achieved. A journeyman pump-action shotgun. I also got some random good armor pieces and pistols, but those pale in comparison to my new boomstick. Arriving back to base, I sorted through my new loot and then made a shocking discovery. Me and Baron have been working on the exact same video this entire time. The chances were slim, 6 whole years, and nobody has even attempted this challenge. And right when I thought I was gonna get all that juicy ad revenue to myself, boom! Baron joins the picture. Thankfully, I really like Baron, and I recently started modding for him, so we were able to find out that we were making the same video, and you can check out his version in the description down below. Anyways, after that discovery, I found out I had gotten apprentice afterburners for my rig from that OSD, so I put them on, and I think these are going to be even more helpful than the jump jets.
But that's pretty much it for day 32. I started crafting a bunch of shotgun bullets early in the morning of day 33, because it is of utmost importance that I get all of these shells crafted in the next few days. To summarize this huge crafting session, I was able to make a just shy of 300 shells for my new shotgun, which is pretty good, but not quite where I need to be. I then found out that I'm actually missing 10 Sarcosuchus skins for this Desert Titan fight, so here we go on a little expedition to go and kill some oversized crocodiles. After finally collecting all the skins that I needed, right before the day ended, I decided I wanted to farm at least 100 more shells for the fight before I start this and send the Titan back to where it came from. Day 34 is here, and I need more gunpowder. More gunpowder. More. Thankfully, this would be the last push of bullets that I would need for this boss fight, meaning the grind can stop soon. But after getting a total of 388 shotgun shells, I went over to collect the last 2 wyvern talons that I would need to start the boss. Once I had removed the nearby wyvern presence and collected the talons, I moved into the desert dome for the first time to take out my first titan. It's pretty much like scorched earth in here, except in a huge dome that shields from the outside wasteland and corruption. This probably would have been a cool place to build in. But enough marveling at the beauty of this place. It's time to do this cave and the titan itself. Wait, that sounds kind of bad.
Far. Let's go! That's how you do it.
Here we are on day 35, and after blasting that flying titan with all I had, I finally took it down. I have taken out my first ever titan and unlocked tech items for myself, meaning I can now start farming for the replicator. I didn't get any rewards aside from the tech grims for killing this thing though, which is a little disappointing, but I can make it all work out. My real reward is being able to go home with my blimp in one piece. Well, maybe it's not in one piece, but it's somewhat working. After getting back to base, I parked my blimp on top of my garage and will likely leave it there for a while as I can't think of any reason to want to continue using it. I also turned all of the gasoline from my blimp into element-imbued gasoline in my mega lab, just so I can have a lot of fuel left over in my garage. I started off day 36 by having to spawn in my Desert Titan trophy, because I didn't get any of the loot from it after killing it. It's unfortunate I had to do this, but I have no choice, because without the trophy, I can't summon and kill the King Titan in his arena. I also went on a completely pointless drive in the wasteland for no apparent reason. Yeah, I don't know either. After returning back to base, I wanted to start smelting up a lot of metal I had left sitting around, because I need a total of 5,000 ingots for the replicator, which is a lot. I also started farming up a bunch of stone, because I'm not going to be living in this depressing base of operations without a roof over my head. So cue the immensely large farming montage. After placing down a few foundations, it was now time for the walls. Let me just do a montage of me placing these things down and reorganizing instead of talking. Well, that took a little bit, but now we have an actual base, and it looks a lot nicer than before. Yes, I know the doors to my garage are off-center, but I will fix that soon. Don't worry, you OCDers out there. I took off into the wasteland as per usual to go and take out an element vein, because not only do I need 100 element to craft the replicator, but the mech's fuel is actually element, and it uses up a ton of it per second. Well, maybe not per second, but every few seconds. I was able to find another beta element vein, which is like the yellow OSD of element veins. And finally, nothing can go wrong. I hate everything. Of course there was another meteor shower. I just started driving home immediately, disappointed that I wasted my entire day doing this bullshit again. I wanted to continue gathering metal, as the sooner I can get this replicator, the better. So after wiping out a ton of enforcers that I literally forgot to record, I had a pretty good amount of metal in each of my forges, and then I just lit them all up. Not with my gun. Once the meteor shower was finally over, I put on this wasteland skin onto my new home, and damn does it look amazing. This is not really an exterior house, but it has that really nice vibe on the inside, pretty much like all of the builds I make on this channel. And I also made a ladder just to get to my roof, because you never know when you're gonna need to get to your blimp. On day 39, yes, I did finally center my garage correctly with the doors. There you go. You're happy now? Good. I then went out into the wasteland for what was supposed to be a black pearl farm, but that was soon interrupted by something that I found later. While patrolling the area around the huge skeleton of whatever creature used to lay here, I finally found it. A beta element vein, right after a meteor shower, meaning nothing can interrupt this attempt. It's safe to say I wasted 0 time on getting this wave finished. Finally, after some trial and error with my car being bugged at the end, and after almost losing it to an enraged tech triceratops, we have finally taken out a beta element vein. I made a grand total of 263 raw element, meaning after combining with what I have at base, I have just over 300, meaning that after crafting the replicator and mech, I have just over 170 element to fuel my mech and take out more veins. Since my car is entirely bugged right now, it means I have to run back to my base by myself, but at least I have a whole 3 shotgun bullets to defend myself, And yes, that does conclude the day. Day 41 is here, and I want to get the tech replicator within 5 days from now, so I need to go get some more obsidian for the polymer. This is probably a good time to mention that the mech does not count as a tame. I will absolutely primarily be using the mech after it is crafted in the coming days, and let me state my reason for why it's not a tame. Firstly, whenever you craft a mech, it doesn't give you the option to name it like every other creature when you tame it, meaning that it is an inanimate object, or in other words, a vehicle. The mech cannot move without a driver fully commanding it, and it is worthless without being powered or controlled by somebody else, meaning that unlike any other tame, it doesn't respond to whistles or move around on its own, adding to the vehicle factor. But I don't think anyone really considers the mech a tame, because if you do, then you might as well be considering the battle rig as a tame. And then if you do, well, your opinion is just wrong. I was able to make 124 polymer on my first go from the wasteland, but I wanted to get just a bit more. But I realized I actually had some obsidian left in my car, so I was able to make a little bit more than originally advertised. Then I went on a black pearl run, because these things are going to be the items that weigh me down the most in terms of my grinding, at least for now. I arrived at my usual location on the high cliff area by the desert dome, and proceeded to keep murdering every creature that I would come across, because equal rights equal fights, I guess. After some more murder, I called it that for day 41. More chaos ensued on day 42, as I continued wiping out large creatures for not only their black pearls, but also the corrupted hearts they would drop me. I even got glitched into a rock, which shows just how fine-tuned and bugless this game is. 10 out of 10. After returning back to base and adding to my current pearl collection, I had a total of 144 pearls, which is 6 off from crafting the replicator, but another 30-ish from making the mech right off. I wasn't done with the grind yet though, so time to go back to that cliff. I'll check back after we've exterminated the creatures there. After that expedition, I had more than enough pearls for my replicator, but I was slightly off of the amount that I needed for the mech. After wiping out a nearby T-Rex from my property, I noticed I had a total of 171 black pearls, which is pretty good, but we still need like 4 more. I'm also only missing 700 metal ingots for the replicator itself, which means I'm just a short grind away from it being in my hands. I guess I am missing all of the crystals as well, but I'm not really stressing it considering how easy it is to get them in the Sanctuary and Wasteland. So right before the day ended, I went out to kill a bunch of defense units and enforcers for the last bits of metal I would need. Now the last few days are going to be an absolute unit to take down, so let's hope they go down easy. Day 43, and guess what? Time to go farm more metal. I promise this metal farming murderous rampage will end soon. I'm sorry if it is a very recurring theme, but I desperately need it. After that short run, I went and gathered even more obsidian to craft polymer, because the more hard polymer I have, the better. I also did kill some corrupted dinos for the nodules, but after several acts of hate towards the purple monstrosities, I had every bit of polymer I would need to make the replicator. Now I just need the crystal and wait for my metal to smelt. Day 44 started off strong by me taking out my hatchet for the first time in a while and destroying the light poles around the sanctuary for the crystal that they drop. And I guess I forgot that there are several crystal deposits right next to my base or something. Yeah, I'm a very intelligent Ark player, I promise. Thankfully I did remember that there are some deposits next to my base, so I went over and collected 700 of them. And after I had 100 over the amount that I originally needed, I was good to go on the crystal. So with me now having everything for the replicator, I had to think of a good way to bring it over to the terminal to craft it. And yes, I can only craft the replicator at the boss fight terminals, so I decided that the Desert Titan terminal would be the best since I was just there recently. I tried to put storage boxes on the back of my car, and even on my blimp, but these wouldn't work because either the structures would get broken by a creature on the way to the terminal, or my blimp would not be able to move because of the excess weight, and I emphasize the blimp. Then I remembered that if I just drop all of the items, and then mass pick them all up, I can get into my inventory immediately and I can drive away in my car, because I guess the weight in the car is strictly a visual bug right now. Now here comes the drive into the Desert Dome once again, to advance the detector and have this be the first huge step forward in this challenge. There it is. We have finally crafted the tech replicator. Now we can return back to base to place this down, but I kinda lost my car. I had to go into ghost mode to find it because it fell hundreds of feet below the ground, which I have no words for anymore, I'm not gonna lie. This stupid fucking game is so buggy. After a good amount of running back to base, I fed myself and hydrated at the river next to my home because I lost a lot of food and thirst running back here. Now that the replicator is mine, I want to place it down in a nice little area. So let's farm up 24 triangle foundations and get some cool placement. After collecting the stone, I made up all of the foundations and I forgot to record myself putting them down with the replicator. Whoops. But here it is in all of its glory. The tech replicator, the ultimate crafting station for all things in this game. Now that we have this thing placed down, I want a mech, and I want that mech really soon. After collecting some corrupted nodules during an electromagnetic storm in the wasteland, I returned back to base and powered on my replicator for the first time to rapidly craft all the polymer. The last thing I did on this eventful day was head out to the wasteland once again to collect even more polymer, because I am ridiculously close to finishing this craft. Day 46 was finally the day where I would get my mech finished up, as now I have all of the metal I will need to make it. So after some waiting, my mech was finally fully crafted and ready to go. This thing is huge. It's literally bigger than my base and garage. This means I can finally do red OSDs and take on Extinction as a whole. I wasted no time getting into the wasteland as a red OSD spawned right in front of my base, meaning that this will be the first one I've attempted during this challenge and give me the best loot I can get access to. Fair warning, there are times during this OSD where I waited and looked for 10 minutes to find the remaining 2 creatures left in the wave, and I was forced to do a dino wipe, meaning all wild creatures will have to be respawned now. Yes, I'm allowed to do these. Anyways, let's hope this goes well. This loot is incomprehensibly good. I got a level 118 mech blueprint, 218 black pearls, 2,500 metal ingots worth of structures, and some ascended parts for my car, which I will absolutely put on as it will just add to the health and speed. Now we need to do a few more red OSDs before I can craft this good mech, and who knows, maybe I can actually get to an even better level than this. Arriving back to base, I had an absolutely ridiculous amount of loot that I can't even bend my mind around. I definitely need to craft a vault for my loot at this point because I am running out of space to store this stuff. Of course, after this win, I had to name my mech the most basic bitch thing, Optimus, because I'm uncreative and I have no other good ideas as to what to name my mech. Anyway, after scouting the wasteland with my newly modified rig, I found a beta element vein, which I'm almost forced to do as I burn through 80 of my element in my mech, leaving me with 70 after that red OSD. This is all going to be extremely easy with my new mech, so I'm not too stressed out at all for this. I managed to get 300 raw element, which is really good. I think I may want to attempt an alpha element vein soon, but I'm not sure about that quite yet. But here's something I am sure of. I want to do the Ice Titan. I have every single tribute I need to summon King Cold himself, so all I need to do is traverse my mech through the incredibly cold caves of the snow and not freeze to death on the way through. I plan to use the element that I had just collected to help me take out the Titan, and have a lot left over after it too. So after getting myself situated at base, I grabbed all of the tributes along with some insulating soup that will boost my hypothermic insulation upon consumption, and I set out towards the snow. After getting there, I wasted 0 time flying in and avoiding all of the high-level polar bears, as they can do just as much damage as a boss if they hit you in a group. Once I had traversed through the cave and picked up the artifact, I went over to the summon terminal and prepared myself for the hardest Titan of them all, not counting the king, of course. Day 49, and let's take out the freezing Titan himself.
Oh my god! Okay, it's fine. 50, 40, 50, 1, 3, massive.
Well, it's day 50 now, and the Ice Titan is down. And with him, I unlocked the tech chest piece along with some other good engrams, and even got a chest piece and boots in my inventory. I'm just actually glad I got the loot this time around instead of it being tragically bugged and not giving me anything like the Desert Titan. Arriving back to base, once again I was overwhelmed with the amount of loot I have. So it's gonna be time to expand my storage soon. I still have some time to kill, so I went out and tested my new railgun on a nearby parasaur. That's pretty cool. Now let's do a simple yellow OSD. And it's not really eventful at all, so I'm just gonna skip over it entirely. The loot that I got from this was surprisingly good, greeting me with a journeyman truck cab and 2 blade wasp hives. After applying my new cab to my car, it is even stronger than before, and now we can go 100 miles per hour. I don't know why the cab affects the speed. I don't know, maybe it's more lightweight or something. I don't even know. I also placed down one of my blade wasp hives, but they require honey and sulfur to work, and I don't have a lot of either of those, so these might be worthless to me. Anyways, that just about summarizes day 50. I want to expand my base, so in the morning of day 51, I started to plant down a lot of foundations for where I want the expansion. This extension would take up the space in between my house and my replicator because I don't like this huge gap in the middle. I'm not quite sure what I want to put on here just yet, but I'll figure it out pretty soon. After putting on my wasteland skin onto the existing platform, I set out into the wasteland to do a quick and simple yellow OSD. These really aren't that eventful anymore, are they? The loot I got was decent, but not quite what I needed. The polymer and metal are nice, and so are the car parts, but at the end of the day, the loot I need is not from yellow OSDs, and I may occasionally still do them, but I really just need the stuff from the red and purple ones. After getting back to base, I put the new car parts onto my rig, making it even faster, and for the first time in Simply Flippo history, I made a vault because my storage situation finally bothers me enough unlike previous challenges. On day 52, I had everything in my vault stored and ready to go, so I made more base expansions and made a grill and fridge because I have no good food storage and I'm constantly starving. Then I decided to go out into the wasteland to take down an alpha element vein, which would give me upwards of 900 element, so as soon as I got lucky enough to find one, I started it instantly. Of course I got hit with another meteor shower, but I'm not too stressed about it because I'm just a chill guy. I even almost got struck by a meteor twice, and if they hit me and destroyed me and my mech, I probably probably would have uninstalled the game and became a Minecraft YouTuber. Not like that kind of Minecraft YouTuber, I mean like the... I finally did a smart thing for the first time in my life and left and rejoined the game so that the meteor shower finally stopped. And no, I couldn't do this in the middle of the vein because it would have despawned it as well. After relogging, I removed my forges from my base for now as they were taking up a lot of extra space. I also could get a lot of extra metal from the red OSD, so I don't really care to keep smelting it. And speaking of red OSDs, I'm not going to leave my base until one drops. The only thing I did on day 53 was add railings to my new platform next to my base because literally 0 red OSD spawned. And yes, I was relogging to keep them spawning overall. Finally, after another half day of waiting, a red OSD spawned. Now it's just time to walk over there in the mech and finish it up. Also, I'd just like to mention that very soon I want to start grinding mech modules, as that is the key to defeating the King Titan himself on day 100. Well, here we are, halfway through day 55, and I've collected a lot of metal structures that I can demolish for ingots, some hard polymer, and even a 290% shotgun blueprint, which may be really good but can be overshadowed by better mech blueprints instead. I also got even more nice car parts, so I might just make up another rig to recover my stuff since I lost the other one when I was picking up my garage in my base organizing. After applying a new racer engine onto my main battle rig, I proceeded to organize my new loot into the vault. After this, I wanted to craft the upgraded mech so that I can take on the wasteland even further, and possibly even do the Forest Titan and maybe a purple OSD with it, but that'll have to wait for the coming days. On day 56, I took out my rig for its first drive it's been on in a while, and I have to say, the only thing I can see myself using this thing for are scouting for veins and OSDs fast, or retrieving my mech and stuff if I die far away from my base. After arriving back, I finally made the new buggy that I've been saving up spare parts for, and it looks pretty cool as it is, I won't lie. I also parked my cars side by side, my recovery car being in the garage, and my main car being outside. I went out to the wasteland once again because I noticed an alpha element vein while I was driving around in the car, so I took my mech over and proceeded to attempt the hardest vein possible. Please no meteor showers this time. I was able to get over 900 element from that entire vein, which is literally 3 times better than a beta element vein, and takes just about the same amount of time. Anyways, after putting all of the element into my replicator, I need to go farm more polymer, because of course I do. The grind for this better mech never stops. I'm gonna try and get as much obsidian as possible because the more unspoilable polymer I have, the better. But that's about it for day 56. I found myself running through the oil fields of Extinction, looking for all of the obsidian I could find. This place looks like the American wet dream. After gathering more of the nearby obsidian and corrupted nodules, I started heading back to base once again. I was able to make 591 hard polymer with all of this, which is alright, but I still need a ton more since blueprints require almost 3,500 of it. I wanted to use a mind wipe tonic when crafting this mech, so that I could put all of my points into crafting skill and have it come out even better. For this I would need a lot of stimulants, narcotics, cooked prime meat, maho berries, etc. Thankfully with my new grill and mega lab, it wasn't really difficult to collect any of these supplies. While I was putting items into my cooking pot, I got jump scared by a T-Rex who ate some of my campfires with a single bite. I seriously have no clue how he got here without getting my attention. Now that we are closing in on the amount of items we need for the mech, it's only a short while until we have everything we need. While I was lurking atop the cliff next to the desert dome for some crystal, I found an alpha tech T-Rex, and I need 5 of their teeth to be able to start the Gamma King Titan. So after that quick kill, I farmed all of the nearby crystal nodes to my heart's content. After dumping my crystal into my replicator, I said this out loud. I feel like we could just do an OSD and we would have enough. Of course, the second I say that, a meteor shower starts. Since Ark obviously hates me, it's time to gather a bit more metal around the sanctuary, since I'm barely missing any. After collecting some metal from nearby defense units, I had to place down my iconic 6 forges once again, except in a neater fashion. Yeah, I would get a steam forge right now, but I just don't really do metal runs anymore, since my metal runs are just called red OSDs now. I then had the genius idea to demolish my blade wasp hives, since they give a ton of polymer per demolish, and a bit of metal, crystal, and even honey too. So that's a pretty free 600 polymer and 225 metal ingots. And don't worry, I kept the honey safe in my fridge. Well, here we are on day 59, and it's time to put all of these levels into crafting skill, put a focal chili on top to stack the buffs, and craft my new mech. And of course, I was met with the utmost disappointed. The mech didn't gain a single level. I don't know if this is a visual bug, or maybe it did get boosted in the stats, because it came out with 34,000 health and 364% melee, but I'm still shocked as to why it didn't only immediately get placed down, but it didn't get the single level from my crafting skill. Like, this game just really makes me want to rip my hair out. Well, sometimes it turns out that Lady Ark is just a cruel, unforgiving mistress with handcuffs and a pair of metal tongs. To fit this absolute loss, I named my mech King Nothing. Let me know if you get the reference. Well, now it's time to relearn every single engram up to this point. After that, I set out into the wasteland to, once again, defend a red OSD. Maybe I can get a mech blueprint again? Well, I definitely didn't get the mech blueprint, but I did get some really good metal structures that will give me upwards of 5,000 ingots after demolishing them. I also got some more nice car parts, but I feel like those are just insignificant now. After arriving back, I put on my new car parts, sorted through my loot, and finally decided to fill in the huge platform in between my base and replicator. I proceeded to craft the tribe tower. This is genuinely the only worthy thing to put here, as it not only looks cool, but will give me XP boosts. I don't think I'll be active here enough to actually get those boosts though. I also need to start gathering sauropod vertebrae for the forest titan fight, which I did want to do soon with my good new mech, and even if it didn't get a boost, it's still a lot better than what I had before. While I was running around the wasteland searching for these long neck dinos, I found another alpha element vein. That was so fucking annoying, I'm so sorry. This one was insanely profitable, giving me 1058 hard element, which is just a ridiculous amount, even for me. Now that I only need 2 more vertebrae, I decided I'll just passively get them from here. So after putting my element into my replicator, that was it for day 60. On day 61, I was pondering, can I really beat the King Titan? Or will I be killed instantly upon entering the arena? Well, there's a few things I can do to have it not end negatively for me, such as finishing a purple OSD and getting good loot, being able to craft a good MRLM launcher module for my mech, or killing the Forest Titan and getting the full tech suit unlocked. Well, I'm aiming to do all of these. I need to defeat the Forest Titan anyway so that I can get his head and finish up the entire tech suit that I've been slowly gathering over time. There's a chance that the Forest Titan drops me an MRLM and some nice tech armor, but I just really need the MRLM blueprint so that I can do the most amount of damage during the King Titan fight. I will also probably need a new mech again, so a purple OSD should give me that alongside some nice resources, but that will all come in time and shortly at that. Anyways, I wanted to take on one of those challenges right now and use my mech to see just how good it really is, because it's time to kill the last of the lesser titans. The Forest Titan. Ascending down into the sunken forest was proven to be extremely easy, as I just jumped down with the mech and used the thrusters before I hit the ground. Now the annoying part is finding the cave entrance for where I can summon the Forest King. After some running around the aberrant landscape, I found the entrance and I proceeded to go inside with my mech. It was a tight squeeze, but I still managed to make it through and started killing the creatures inside. After some time, I had finally arrived at the summoning terminal, but before I went in, I collected the artifact, made sure I had brought all my tributes, and got ready to do this. Day 62, and it's now or never because I will not be attempting this guy again in this video. Hopefully. Let's go. Well, we managed to take down the King of Roots and his head is now mine. We got the entire tech suit unlocked, and I got some really cool parts of armor and weaponry, but I still lack the MRLM. But that's okay, as I can still get that in the coming days. After leaving the sunken forest, I started running back to base in my mech, and once I had arrived, I sorted through all of my items in my vault. Of course, I also had to mount the head of the Forest Titan on my wall next to the other two, so I did a bit of moving around, put the Ice Titan's head on top, and put the forest on the rightmost side, and that looks pretty mean. Of course, on day 63, for the first time in Simply Flippo history, it is time to craft a tech suit, as not only do I have everything I need for it, it'll be an absolute game changer on top of the already crafted mech. I was only able to make the helmet and gauntlets, and the leggings are only missing 18 polymer, so I set out into the wasteland, killed a few corrupted dinos, and made the leggings upon returning home. This looks pretty cool as it is, but you already know I need to paint it. Just give me a second. Now that looks absolutely incredible, and it has the exact same colors of my channel profile, which you should subscribe to. The tech suit makes my cars even more inferior than before, as now I can fly across the wastelands at the highest speeds, and scout for element veins and OSDs. Speaking of element veins, I located an alpha one in my tech suit and proceeded to fly back home, picked up my mech, and started flying over to defeat it really quick. This will only take a second. I managed to get over 950 element, which is insanely good, and will help fuel my tech suit, mech, and my replicator. I also have a ton of dust that I am throwing into my Mega Lab. Not sure what I'm actually going to use it for now, considering that I don't need the imbued gasoline anymore. I wanted to do an OSD fresh on the morning of day 64, so once I saw a red one land pretty close to my base, I grabbed my mech and proceeded to start it, and hopefully get some good loot. I am so sorry if these are becoming a theme. I got quite possibly the worst Mastercraft shotgun blueprint I've ever seen. And I also got a mech blueprint, but it wasn't really that good at all. I'm gonna aim for at least a level 165 blueprint from now on. As per usual, there were more car parts, but it's all pretty mid at the end of the day. I think the best thing that I got though was this 120% tech rifle blueprint, which I will absolutely use a crafting skill potion on soon. By crafting skill potion, I mean mind wipe tonic. I may actually want to craft a bunch of tech building pieces soon, like the generator and teleporter, and possibly possibly the force field, but that is unnecessary. My thirst for a purple OSD continues on day 65, and I hope it'll be somewhat possible to finish. But first, I want to try my luck at getting a good tech rifle from the new mind wipes I just crafted. So after once again pumping every level into crafting skill, I crafted the rifle and got an insanely good 40% boost. And no, I will not try and craft something better because a 130% tech rifle can do a lot of damage. After locating a purple OSD in the wasteland, I packed all of my element to the mech and genuinely prayed that this wouldn't end poorly. It probably will. Well, I almost died countless times. The creatures were almost level 500 and alpha boosted, but I managed to beat the minimum required waves. Now, let's see what the loot that I got was. I'm never doing a purple OSD again. This loot is so inhumanely trash that I think I will get more loot from a singular red OSD, so it's safe to say I will never be doing one of these again. I did get a nice shotgun and some metal building parts though, so that's something. So after getting back to base, depositing my loot, and demolishing the metal structures, that was it for the disappointing day 66. Day 67, and I had a pretty solid amount of metal, that being 7,800 ingots. So I decided to reorganize my base and place down a tech generator. As this is a lot better than the normal generator, it consumes element and is more fuel efficient, and it's just overall a lot better for the base. I was making this generator not only because it looks dope, but because I can place down teleporters, one being at my base, and the other one being wherever I desire. After getting the generator placed down, I put down the teleporter in the dead center of my base, and then made another teleporter and generator with 2 cryo fridges. I placed down one of the fridges at my base, and then I flew over to the King Titan terminal with my tech suit. Arriving there, I had brought some metal foundations to place down my structures on. After putting everything down, I added some walls and ceilings to my new outpost, and teleported back to base. It's time to do another OSD, since I lost absolutely all of my metal crafting this stuff. It's not something I want to do, but again, I have no choice at this point. So here we go once again. The loot was nothing special, but at least I got the metal that I did this for originally, right? After depositing my loot, I ran around and did nothing for a while, but I also started pondering as to what boss I want to take on next. I want to redo one for the loot. So I thought I might as well do the Desert Titan. So I started to mass kill Sarcosuchus as I already had all of the Wyvern talents from OSDs. I also picked up a few more Corrupted Hearts since they're pretty straightforward to get anyways. So after arriving back to base, I fueled up my blimp and realized that I can't put my mech on top as it instantly slides off, so now we need to go and do a different boss, and I don't want to do the Forest Titan again. So I started making my way to the Ice Titan terminal. Well, here we are on day 69, making our way through the Ice Titan terminal and into the teleporter to take me back to his arena. Surely nothing can go wrong this time again, right? Well, of course nothing can go wrong. I beat this already with the shittier mech before. And my lord, the loot. I got better tech armor and everything I was missing and a 198% MRLM. Now the annoying and debatably most difficult grind of this challenge is me having to craft 150 rocket pods before day 100. Surely that won't be too bad, right? After arriving back to base, I decided that I want to make a grinder for all of this good loot that I've been gathering, as it would just be a good idea since I'd supposedly make all of the resources back, and the only thing I was missing was crystal. So I set out on my tech suit to go and farm every last bit of it that I would need in and around the desert dome. After collecting everything and crafting my grinder, I got some extra ceilings placed with what little metal I had left and placed it down above my vault. Then I went into said vault and stripped it of every armor piece that was inside, and once I grinded it, to my horror, I only got half of the crystal back and 600 of the 3,200 metal that I have spent. But I did get 3,500 polymers, that's cool. So after loading up my replicator with all of my new loot, I called it that for day 70. Day 71 is here, and I was really bored. So bored, in fact, that I decided to try and kill this Dreadnoughtus to relieve that boredom. It took me a hot second to even get it bloody, but soon enough, I did waste my element to take down this giant sauropod. After returning back home, I started to farm up flint and stone so I can make a lot of spark powder for the tens of thousands of gunpowder that I'm gonna need pretty soon. The rocket pods are very expensive, taking 180 gunpowder and a lot of other valuable things just to make a singular one. The silver lining is, a single rocket pod has 16 rockets in it, releasing a huge storm of explosions wherever I'm shooting. So after crafting all of the gunpowder, I left it all in my mega lab for now, as I want to craft the pods when I can make the most possible. On day 72, I wanted to start killing some Titanoboas for their venom, as I need 15 of it to start the King Titan fight, alongside the other tributes. After locating their spawn point in the sulfur fields, I started to make my way over in the mech. This is just going to be a simple venom gathering run, and maybe some corrupted hearts as well. Upon arriving, it was all going very calmly and normally, at least until I ventured a little bit deeper where I had the jump scare of my life. The King Titan was here, and he didn't even have the world marker on, and he was coming right for me. I had no choice but to give the Titan everything I had, and so I started shooting my mech's pistol with every last bit of element that was on me.
1.5.
Right as he was about to go down on day 73, I got cocky and tried to kill him with my character on foot without the mech. And he hit me dead on with his most powerful attack, dealing 16,000 damage to my mech and breaking all of my armor except for my helmet. With my mech and me deathly injured, I hopped back in and finished the King Titan off with what little I had left. I will never be doing something so foolish again, as that will cost me the best tech armor I can get my hands on, and it's just too expensive for me to repair. Returning back to base, I had scrapped all of my old armor in my grinder, including my barely functioning helmet, and picked up my old tech armor and recrafted some missing pieces. After painting it back up, it's like nothing ever happened. I then went back into the wasteland for another huge corrupted heart grind, as I still need 150 to start the King Titan. There was a lot of murdering that went on here, and I also went into the Forbidden Zone to kill the gigas that are there. Anyways, enjoy this compilation of me killing large corrupted dinos. Well, my hunt for corrupted dinos was shortly interrupted on day 74 by the King Titan spawning again, dangerously close to my base. I started rushing over to protect what's mine and not get greedy and hop off of my mech to get a kill again. Well, the King Titan fell to my mech once again, and I have also acquired some nice rewards this time. So now I have managed to kill the weaker Titan twice now. I can safely say that with an MRLM, it will become even easier in the boss fight itself, where he has, 1.5 million health. A few minutes into day 75, and I started a defense on the nearest element vein, that one being a beta. I don't need to do an alpha, but if I found one, I would have done that over this for sure. That was pretty quick and easy, and I made 358 element from that, which isn't too bad. Then I took my newly found fuel and went over to a purple OSD that was right next to me. But after some second thoughts, I decided that I don't want to do a purple, as it takes too long, is risky, and I'd just rather do a red. So I cryopoded my mech, flew home in my tech suit, and threw it back out. So after unpodding my mech, I set back out into the wasteland so that I could do the red OSD that just landed. This will be quick and simple, just like the rest. After the OSD ended on day 76, I got some pretty cool things like a sniper rifle blueprint, but mostly these really nice car parts, which can be scrapped in my grinder. I also got another mech blueprint, but it was the same as last time. So after getting back to base, I sorted through everything and grabbed everything from my garage because I will need to grind all of it for the metal and polymer that it'll drop me. I really am glad I've been holding on to this stuff. And of course, after getting my resources put into the replicator, I made another 21 rocket pods, giving me a grand total of 35. Then I made a ballsy play and decided to spend a lot of the remaining resources on crafting an industrial forge, but not for smelting metal, rather for crafting charcoal with. I need to automate a lot of it, and this is just the best way to do it. Of course, I could have made the steam forge, but I decided to save some resources and not do it. After crafting it up, I got some foundations placed and put it down, giving it a pretty cool location. After that, I repaired my old chainsaw and started gathering every tree in a mile radius so that I could turn each bit of it into wood for charcoal. Anyways, on day 77, it is time to start getting a ton of spark powder crafted up, just so I can make a lot of gunpowder at a time. So after crafting a metric shit ton of spark powder, I left it in my mega lab for now, as I will have a huge amount of charcoal coming in soon, but it will take a while for that to craft. A large portion of my days would just spend AFK waiting for it all to smelt, so that's a pretty short day 77 in my eyes. I wanted to do another OSD on the morning of day 78, so after locating a red one, I sped over into my mech and started it up for like the 28th time in this challenge. This is getting really sad. The loot from this one was pretty damn good, as I had gotten a 151% tech rifle blueprint, but it's just too expensive for me to craft right now, as it takes 4,000 polymer, 1,600 black pearls, 4,000 crystal, and 13,000 metal ingots. Maybe way in the future I will make one. After getting back to base and sorting through my loot as usual, I wanted to fully revamp my rig, even if I don't use it. I wanted a roll cage look, but I eventually settled for this one that looks like a pickup truck, but a racer at the same time, and I think I like it a lot. I was just getting tired of the old monster truck design and having to look at that over everything else. Of course, on day 79, I also had to take it out for a drive in the wasteland with the new build that I have now, and I think it looks really good. So after getting back to base, I decided to make a few more rocket pods and also a tinkering desk, pretty much just because that means I can combine all of my tech rifle blueprints and make really good ones. But I got confused as to what all of these options meant here, so I backed out of it for now. Day 80 was nothing special. I got hit with an electromagnetic storm, and I just sat around waiting for a lot of the charcoal to smelt, and I guess I made some cementing paste too. The King Titan fight is soon. We need to get more resources to prepare for the rocket pods that I need, so it's time for another red OSD. But don't worry, we're almost done with the OSDs as a whole. The loot was so good that I got a 155% tech rifle blueprint that is somehow cheaper in every regard than the 151%, which makes no sense, but at least now we got this really good rifle, I guess. After arriving back, it's time to grind all of my new loot again. I think I definitely made back all the resources I spent on the grinder by now though, so that's pretty cool. I also used the stone I got from the structures to craft a couple hundred cementing paste, because it's the only thing I constantly keep running out of aside from the gunpowder whenever I craft the pods. Speaking of the pods, I crafted up up 26 more right before the day ended, giving me a grand total of 91 rocket pods. I started off day 82 strong by taking on an alpha element vein again, because you can never have enough of this juicy element. As per usual, it went really well, and I was able to haul in a whopping 996 element, which is really nice. After getting back to base, I put some more element in my mech, left some on my character, and threw the rest into the replicator for some more power. Now it's time to gather up a lot of spark powder because the gunpowder is just so annoying to farm, and I keep running out of it whenever I make the pods. So after making a good amount of spark powder, I crafted a ton of gunpowder that will be solely used to fund my extreme explosive hobby. On day 83, I crafted another 21 rocket pods, which is always a nice welcome bonus, as now I have a grand total of 112 out of the 150 that I want. After putting the rockets in my vault, I teleported over to my small bunker by the King Titan terminal to put my original mech in the crow fridge, you know, as a fallback plan. You never know if my main mech will be destroyed or not. Anyways, after getting back to base, I set out to the wasteland as per usual to take down another red OSD. It's all almost done, I swear. Wait, I lied, this is a blue OSD, so it's disgusting to me and I vowed to never do these again. After some waiting, I saw another OSD that fell from the sky, but it was a purple. Gross. Day 84, and I wanted to go and kill all of the Titanoboas that I will need to start the King Titan, as I'm only missing 5 venom now. After slowly eliminating the large snakes, I noticed that they refused to drop me their venom, which was kinda strange, but I was able to get it from them after some messing around. After some time, I had killed all of the snakes that I would need to start the boss fight. Now I'm just missing one more Alpha Tech Rex kill, but I'll do those later, as right now, I'm gonna gather a lot of wood to turn into charcoal and AFK it for a while. So after chopping enough trees to the point where Team Trees would send out a hitman to my location, I put all of the wood into my forge. Now it's time to wait. A lot. A lot. Well, day 85, and we are still waiting. After a long 2 days of waiting on day 86, I had a few thousand charcoal that was waiting to be turned into gunpowder in my mega lab, so I grabbed all of it and started mass crafting again. So after crafting close to 3,000 gunpowder, I was still missing some cementing paste and metal until I could maximize the amount of pods I could craft. So I grinded a lot of my good car parts, and this is also a fun time to mention that my original car, the Kia Soul, has disappeared. I don't know where my baby is, but I'm sure it's having a good time in Cardiff. Anyways, so I spawned back in my recovery buggy, as this is the only car I have left, and I'll just modify it to look like my original in just a second. Anyway, after crafting more of the rocket pods, I now have 127, meaning that I am closing in on the amount that I need, and I think I can get it all in a few days. Now it's time to do the last OSD of this challenge, because I need more metal and just overall more resources to keep crafting these rocket pods. So let's end this. The loot I got wasn't too bad, but I've definitely had better loot before. Oh well, it's fine. Let's go back to base and deposit the loot again. After grinding up all of my loot, I got some pretty nice resources, but not a lot of insanely good ones at the same time, because the OSD really just wasn't the best. After some time, an electromagnetic storm started, so I decided to go and check and see if I can find an enraged Alpha Rex for the last tribute that I need. Sure enough, I was able to find a Rex in their most common spot, and I took it down with complete ease as it was a low level. Just like that, we can now start the boss fight, which means that we are good to go in whenever possible. While I was roaming the wastelands, I noticed the King Titan. Again, maybe we should fight him one more time before the real deal. Well, he fled right before he was about to die. I guess we'll have to finish him off in his arena then. After arriving back to base, I customized my car to make it look more like what I had with the pickup truck look. Today is the last day of me farming rocket pods. So after collecting some more gunpowder, I made a few more, and now we have a total of 150, meaning we are good to go. Then I made up some storage boxes, teleported to my bunker to place them there so that I can store my rocket pods. Now that we have done everything I wanted to do, I just did a lot of random shit for the rest of the day, like shooting a dodo through a wall with my railgun and blasting away an enforcer with my rocket launcher. It is now day 89, and I've teleported to my bunker. I trust the fortifications here so much that I am going to AFK here until day 98. Yes, you heard me right. I'm not going to move until we reach day 98. I have done everything possible, and now all we need to do is wait for day 100 so we can kill the King Titan and save the Earth from corruption. We might as well get started now, right? Well, here we are on day 98, and it's time to admire everything we have gotten done, as even in the first 50 days, we had so much done. Well, let's not dwell here any longer. So let's pot up my mech, bring 700 element with us, and drive to the terminal. We have arrived. My mech has all of the element, rocket pods, and the MRLM on it. It's time to do this shit. Day 99. We're ready to do this, and we're going to be doing it right here, right now. Day 99 though, we have to wait. King Nothing is loaded and ready to go. As a fallback, I might have to go and get my other mech. I hope it will not come down to that. I have practiced with the other Titan. Whether he be glitched or not, I have somewhat found out the way that he works, if that makes sense. I've kind of like, I know his pattern, I know where to go, I know to watch my heat on the mech. I know never to get out when he's doing a power punch, because this power punch will immediately kill me. This King Titan is not weak like the other one. This one can do 30,000 damage in his weakest attack. One hit and we're dead. I've seen him do 20, so maybe not. But, nonetheless, he will absolutely ruin my day and the end of this challenge if he chooses to actually try and kill me. Which he will try, but he will fail miserably. You will see. You're gonna die. I'm gonna show that you can beat Extinction with No Tames. Come on. And you're going down. You just went down. No. That's how you do it? Just like that. We have defeated the King Titan. Thank you all so much for watching this video. It means the absolute world to me. I hope you guys enjoyed the effort that we put into this. It's definitely been a hell of a ride. If you enjoyed, leave me a like and subscribe. I will see you all in the 200 days.
Absolutely beautiful. Go on. Take a look. It's finally begun. The arks are coming home. Each one carries with it the seeds of new life. Plants, animals, and humans. And these seeds will take root across the far corners of the world. Once they do, all that life will be unleashed. From there, it will spread, grow, and thrive. And this planet, our home, will bloom once more. As for the rest of the infection, well, the arks can take it from here. In time, they'll purge every last bit of element from the soil. But make no mistake, this is all thanks to you. I'm just so happy I got to see it. You were the one that Helena, that I, was waiting for after all. Look at that. Suns are rising.